Welcome back to AM Northwest. 80% of professionals consider networking to be a critical part of their success, whether it's landing a job or promotion or transitioning into a new field. Here to share 3 simple ways to network effectively, we welcome back career strategist and personal brand expert, Dr. Carol Parker Walsh. How you doing, doctor?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So let's talk about what does networking involve?
Yeah, so networking really is about creating relationships. Too often people go into networking thinking, what can I get out of it? And, who am I going to meet? But networking truly is about establishing and building relationships. And I just want to talk a minute about how the pandemic has impacted networking because, we used to meet very locally. We used to meet face to face, and people were really used to that. And obviously what we've done since the pandemic is that it's done 2 things. It's allowed us to meet virtually, which people are actually still continuing to do, but it's also allowed for us to expand our reach globally. And so you're able to expand to an audience around the world that you otherwise wouldn't, because usually networking is thought of as a more localized event.
Right.
And so the ability to be able to tap into markets, to tap into employers, to tap into potential opportunities that are not in your backyard has been really one of the benefits of it. And while people are split right now about whether or not they want to have that face-to-face involvement because they're tired of meeting online, there's still about 50% of people who still prefer to have this virtual engagement because you diminish the amount of time for traffic or for parking. You can actually have more conversations during the day than you could have if you'd done face-to-face, so you actually can be more effective. And while a lot of organizations are moving back to having their large conferences and events, I believe the smart ones are creating a hybrid approach where they're allowing people to meet both face-to-face and meet virtually. That allows people to still continue that networking, right? And so one of the greatest things you can do when you're networking in that environment, particularly with virtual, with the ability to meet virtually or globally, is that you can set up appointments with speakers or attendees after the event where they're not so focused on the event to really continue to build your networking. So really the pandemic, while it's changed the nature of networking, it really has expanded it in a much greater potential and ability.
How do you start networking if you haven't done it?
I think the very first place to start, because most people get a little nervous about networking, meeting strangers. We still have that stranger danger thing, I think, even as adults, is to start with your family. Start with people that you know. That's an untapped market. A lot of times we get together with our family and we talk about family and events and things of that nature, but you may have no idea that your aunt sits on the board of Nike or, because people don't talk about those things really in their family. They talk about more personal things as opposed to their professional life or their professional connections. So start with your family and friends and really tap into that immediate network, giving you the opportunity to really expand the potential network of who they know and who they're connected to. So at those events, start talking about your career goals, your job search goals.
Put it out there for people who may want to help
you. Exactly. Because if you start talking about those things at the dinner table, you actually may have someone raise their hand and say, I just had a conversation with someone that I would love to introduce you to. So start with the people that you know. It's much easier, and you can actually tap into a bigger market that way.
And you say networking doesn't just happen. You really do have to plan for it.
You do have to plan for it. It doesn't happen. You really should. Most of it is people think that it's just a conversation that you randomly have, but you want to make sure that you're thoughtful about the conversation. What is your goal of networking? What do you want to get out of the conversation? How can you not only build the relationship, but how can you give back into the relationship? So you want to think about it beforehand. Plan it in your calendar. If you spend 30 minutes to an hour a week just making connections and networking, whether it's just making a LinkedIn connection or actually having a 15-minute coffee chat, you can expand your network up to hundreds of people by the end of the month. And you never know who you're going to reach. They say that every person you network with is about 250 people that they have access to. So imagine if you connect with 10 or 20 people over the course of a month, that you've just expanded your network by thousands.
What are some fun ways to build a network?
I think one of the easiest ways to lower your guard, again, is about relationship building, is join fun groups. Join groups that are aligned to your interests. If you're a golden doodle lover, like we are, join a group of people who love their dogs. If you're a wine lover, if you're someone who loves classic black and white movies, whatever your personal interests are, join those groups first, because you never know who's in those groups. There could be, hiring managers or people who are working for the companies
Right.
that you want to work for, or again, other people who are connected to people you don't know just because you share a similar interest. And what a great way to connect to someone over something more personal than just looking for a reason to connect to someone when you really don't have a platform or a basis for it. So find those fun groups. Just don't look for those industry association groups to join, but join something that's related to your hobby or interest, and
again,
really
talk
connect and build
about what you're
relationship
looking
there.
for. Like you said earlier, sorry, I
Yes.
talked over you there, but talk about what you're looking for, what your goals are, and other people will find ways to help you.
100%. Always be sharing,
Yeah.
right? That's part of networking. A big part of that is also making sure that you know your brand.
Yeah.
And I talk about that a lot, but part of branding is sending that message out there so people know what you're about, what you want to achieve, so they know how to connect with you and how to support you in that way. People love to support other people.
Absolutely. Carol, great talking with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.